love this here in the beginning immediately. She's like, "Hey, Dorse, you see the kid over there? He's my son, and I'm an awesome mom." She's all like, "Let's do it! I will be the best mom ever." And then she keeps. I mean, it was really, really funny in the beginning, but also I think it was like funny and also a little. You feel a little sad. It's a wholesome. I mean, moment, right? But you also kind of feel sad for her, because it's really like, "I will be a good mom. Come back." To be like, "Oh, Boji, take the cake, please. Eat the cake." But anyway, it's an amazing anime, right? The first 10 minutes were some of the best wholesome anime I've seen this year, right? So it's really nice motherly love, being a great mom, trying her best to help her deaf mute son, right? Learning the sign language and so on. But also it's funny just on the earlier notion of that hiling is, how to say it? I mean, she looks evil, right? Hiling has that typical evil stepmom, stepsister, Disney kind of evil stepmom character, right? With the big witch nose and so on, right? So of course she looks kind of evil, and she's like, "Hey, buddy!" He's like, "Ah!" Runs away from her. It's like, "No, but I want you to love me!" Yeah, they run around for like a few months, right? Which is really good. It's just the first roughly 10 minutes, right? It's nice, wholesome anime, right? It reminded me of something like, not exactly, but I guess for this year, for example, Non-Yun Biaru, which I love. It's one of my favorite animes here, right? Easily, with Rengishan and so on, yeah, and Candy Store Lady and so on. Yeah, it's just like a wholesome family episode. This scene later here, when this is, I guess, after, right, the snake scene, so now her and Boji are like, mom and son, now they're like besties, right? And then Dorsey's like, "What's happening?" She's like, "Hey, come on, let's go!" And she's super happy, super excited. "He loves me now, come on, he loves me!" And then she keeps bullying Dorsey. "He doesn't love you anyway, you're too big." Yeah, like, I keep pointing at him as well. Oh my god, I was like crying laughing at this scene. Oh my god, it's so good. And she keeps, at least last she immediately also keeps like, shitting on Dorsey. "Oh, he doesn't love you." Oh, yeah. It's like she spent half the episode getting together. But anyway, the anime is fantastic. I love this in any kind of anime, any kind of storytelling, where you can have half the episode be this like wholesome family comedy, and then of course it goes to this like brutal, "I'm gonna murder you" death scene right there. And then it goes from wholesome family, just kawaii, non-yon biaru, relaxed kind of anime, right? Just, he's like the awesome best mom, just here character. And the next scene is like, oh, here's her son running around in an empty void, screaming in pain. I guess, her husband's real love interest is like a doll or something. And you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not those scenes. But yeah, as far as I really love that. This is what anime is so good, right? Because it goes from, wholesome, family-oriented, right, super nice anime, PG-3, right, yeah, and I can watch it. And then it becomes like, her husband's son is dancing with, like, a doll that I suppose is Myrmonden, and she's like, "Oh no, I can't retain my powers" or something, and then she's like crying in the mirror, and he's like, "You're perfect. One day I will, I don't know, smash you or something. We will have sex one day." Yeah, it's like, yeah, and then it gets all weird and freaky, right? And you're like, yeah, this anime is always, this anime is, well, again, I think one of the best thing with anime, right, is that you kind of feel like you're watching two different animes. I think it's, the more I watch the anime, the more I think that's clear actually, right? It's like two different animes. One anime is this wholesome comedy shit, right, which is really nice, and then then they have this weird stuff that's also really nice. Yeah, it keeps mixing this airy horror something anime. I don't know what it is, weird stuff, right? And also wholesomeness. So it's like it's a very interesting anime. But anyway, let me give some theories then. I think every review here, that's right. So, I'm an anime on the right, but it certainly seems like Bosse is actually only truly in love with Myrmonden in this scene here. His true love interest, his actual, the weird kind of pale ghost-looking lady that is like a demon or something, right? That brought him to Satan and hated him his powers. That seems to be his true love interest, and that makes sense because he was clearly hanging out with Myrmonden before he met his. Not only before he met the giant, right? But I mean, before he met Satan, she wasn't there. Right? So I guess they were kind of, I don't know, adventurous party members. I don't know how this actually works in this world, right? But something like that. And she is seemingly the one he really cares about, and she definitely is, how say it, is seemingly motivated by being in love with him, right? She's crying and so on, and that definitely I think is a bigger difference than I guess I would probably have guessed a few weeks ago. Because earlier it kind of felt like Myrmonden was more of a mystery, and she could have been maybe using Bosse to get power or this thing or free yourself, whatever. Right? But now it's seeming, now this is more like a weird twisted love story where they're both talking about, oh, I'm in love with you, and we're gonna finally have our bodies again, and we're gonna do some nasty business, right? And it seems to be this like weird twisted epic love story where they're both trying to, I guess they both have issues, right, because they don't have the real bodies, so they're trying to like somehow, I don't know, become immortal or have their own bodies together so they can finally be together in flesh and blood or something. Yeah, it's something like that, right? It's turning into more of a weird, twisted way to kind of like be with each other or something, no matter what, I guess. That seems to be a motivation, which is definitely different than how I would say previously it was hinted more to being like some kind of world domination, evil shenanigans or whatever, right? But now this is hinted to be just love, I suppose. And some things they're doing has to be turned on. But that being said, though, we have seen, of course, here he's died, right? Couldn't they maybe do something similar? Couldn't maybe like, I don't know if it would work, but she clearly is this kind of dark mist thing or dark void kind of thing, right, inside the mirror, and that thing moved from the doll body to the mirror again. She lost her powers or whatever. She had returned to the underworld or something. So what I'm thinking is that she's trying to kill healing for sure, I suppose. But wouldn't her plan maybe be to be like, can she take that dark void thing, right, she is, and make healing drink that? Could she maybe become, possessing healing, right? And then they can of course be together, which is still really weird because he is in healing's son's body. But still, this anime is weird. So I'm just saying, like, why isn't she trying to like maybe possess a body, right? Like healing's body. Like, wouldn't that maybe like, solve her issue if she turned into healing? I'm just throwing it out there. Even if that is really weird if she turned into healing. That's like the but she could also of course take another female body, right? And possess perhaps. And then be with her love Bosse. That maybe would be more better, but I'm just saying. That's mom, right? I freaking love this scene healing. I mean, I was waiting for a scene where healing is gonna try to murder her husband, right? Her son's husband or whatever. And it's a nice touch to it, obviously. She's the only one that can hear her son. She's the only one that can hear Daida inside of the heart. I will say though, I think that's I like to see when she generally was trying to like locate the sound. She was like focusing her ears, she was like getting into it. I liked it. It was very emotional. It was a good scene. But I have to say though, from a logical standpoint, that she should have figured out that he was inside of Daida, like Bosse's body. Yeah, like where else would it be? Like when you hear him, like, oh, it's gonna be gone over there. No, of course, it's gonna be your husband/son's body. It's not many other options, so it's a little bit. But anyway, I love this scene. I was waiting for her to fight him, right? I love she had like a hidden dagger in her. She had put up like a hidden dagger, right, in her classic like like a bootstrap dagger, or whatever, right? Love that. Unfortunately, they didn't fight. I would have loved even more, as I theorized last week. I did say she was going to fight him, though. So, I mean, in general sense, I was right? But I'm just saying that I would have loved even more if it actually became like a real fight. Not like a long fight, but maybe like 2-3 minutes of her actually trying to stab him, or some kind of actual like bam bam bam, and then he would block her out or whatever. Yeah, I think that would be a little cooler if she actually got at least trying to get in there. Then he would like block her and hit her or something. But it was still really good, and it was interesting that Daida could also only hear her, right? So the anime really focused on this like a mother's love story, right? First you heard the mother's love with Boji, and then he's the only one, or they don't hear each other with Daida, right? So again, healing easily best bond this year. Come on, healing is the powerhouse of mother, powerhouse of mother, yeah. But certainly he's lost in this dark void thing, and he can't hear or he can't see anything. But there is clearly like, how to say it, a barrier of room. It's an actual room, right? But he could walk inside his father's body, spirit, whatever it actually is, and he got to like an invincible barrier wall, right? And he could find that because he could actually hear the mother's voice. So as long as she's there, he can actually like locate, he can find the exit, right? So there is still like a confined, how to say it, it's a constrained space, right? It isn't actually like it's an empty void you can just walk forever. It actually is like a box, right, that you can get to the door of it, so to speak. But he can't, of course, break the wall, right? But he can get to the wall. For that matter, though, I said earlier, and I think this is very fair to say, it was very obvious, I think so, is that no matter what Healing does, though, even though she's the coolest mom ever, no matter what she does, I don't think she will never get died out, right? Not because she isn't gonna try, she isn't a cool mom, but it's because, of course, that the general storyline is pretty clear now that Bosse in this body is gonna fight his son, right? So, just that alone, I would say I never thought that Hilding actually ever could succeed, right? Nor can succeed later on here, because it's obviously it's gonna be that Boji and Dai that has to fight, of course, because Boji is the strongest one, right? And when he defeats his father in his brother's body, his brother can probably be free, right? I mean that is like a very obvious conclusion of this arc, so to speak. Doesn't mean it has to be the arc of the whole storyline, but I'm saying that fight has to happen, right? So I think there's no way that Hilding or whatever can make her son actually be free, right, without Boji. That being said, I could definitely see it being in the commotion when Boji fight his father brother, that Mon would be there and talking to her son, right, so to speak, and then maybe like getting, weakening her husband's control over that, right? Certainly could be a part of that fight, right? Healing is there being like Gambare, and whatever. Makes the barrier there weaker, right? While Boji is fighting his father's son, brother thing, probably. But it's not a really good episode. But I think what I really with the anime, I'll say again and emphasize it, the anime is so good on many aspects. But I think the best part is that it's like two different animes, right? You have that wholesome comedy anime, and you also have that weird, twisted action horror anime. Whatever this genre is. But it's some kind of weird drama, I guess, in general sense, right? It's like a horror drama kind of thing. But I think that's like a really, really, in my opinion, a good point, right? The first 10 minutes is like one anime, and the other 10 minutes is another anime. It's like two different anime. Or maybe it's two different genres, but they're very like just like positioned from each other. They're very orthogonal from each other. Like it's one genre here, one genre over here, and they're very, very diverse from each other. They have a very different emotional feel to them, and that makes the anime so enjoyable, right? Because you watch the first half, then you watch the second half, and you're like, oh man, it's like watching two completely different animes coming together with the same characters, right? Because they're so very complex characters. But I think the same thing I said in episode 4 review, where I feel that of course, a big strength is that the character also complex like Domas. It's a very complex character. Like he betrays Boji, but at the same time he hates himself for doing it, right? He's like, I have to follow my order, but I do love Boji, so I don't want to do it, right? So they're very, very complex character. It wasn't like a very simple betrayal. So in that sense, the betrayal scene is one of the best betrayal scenes I think in anime, because it has a much more layered betrayal than in a lot of animes. Betrayal scenes are kind of like, haha, I'm evil. It's like, haha, twist, I push you down. It's like, don't do it. It's more like, I push you down from the chair. Most betrayal scenes are a little more like, haha, that you did never expected me to be evil. I expected Domas to be evil. No, but honestly, I said it again here. Think about it. I expected Domas to be evil, right? So I wasn't surprised that he betrayed him. It's more, what this anime makes so good is that it's not a betrayal of the twist betrayal, because that's obvious in my opinion. It's more that he's betraying him, but he doesn't want to betray him. Right? It's the emotional journey he has from having to betray him, doesn't want to betray him, and he has to kind of like try to like backpedal or whatever, or justify his moral decisions right afterwards with other people. Right? That's the interesting part, what makes it so interesting, more so than the actual twist betrayal itself. And then it combined with it, as I mentioned earlier. The first half was like wholesome, he's learning sign language, and the second half is like betrayal. So it combines that like wholesome genre with a horrible genre thing. So can I guess it, I suppose. But I still think it's more about how the character acting in this like in some betrayal, and also some sense here too, right? Because obviously the whole taking over, possessing so much bottoming is something new. I was saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's something I've seen before, right? but I haven't seen an anime where you have the first 10 minutes is like super wholesome mom scenes, then it's like I will kill my son husband yeah, like in the same episode, right? That's kind of where it comes, right? But the anime is so good. But anyway, guys, see you guys with Platinum End. We had this new JoJo bad guy. And I'll say this again. I have a hard time with Platinum End, right? Like, I expect it to be much better than others. But I do think that the latest character that come last week has the best backstory, though. Honestly. So, at least, you know, I'm trying to be objective, right? The anime has a lot of faults, but some parts are good too. And I think that new bad guy we saw last week, Platinum End, so episode coming out in 2 hours from now, yeah. I think that guy actually had like the best backstory of all the characters. So at least, you know, it's just like sometimes they have some good stuff there too, right? But it's an anime where I feel like it's like a roller coaster. Half the episode is good, and half is very lacking, I suppose. But anyway, see you guys and have a great day.